Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the time that I almost lost my voice. So this whole story starts in 2018. I was 14 years old. I was singing with my band Awakening Force. I was a nutso about singing and playing music. I would, play guitar for like 6 to 7 hours a day. I would sing for 3 to 4 hours every single day. And during this time of about 6 months, that my voice was, getting increasingly more hoarse, and eventually, it got to the point where my voice was continuously super hoarse, sounded horrendous. I wasn't able to sing as well as I should have been. I was, getting to the point where after a show, I literally couldn't talk at all, or make any noises. And so that's when we kind of realized something's not right here. So we ended up going to my doctor. We got referred to an ENT in the area. We ended up going to the appointment, and it was a pretty horrendous experience. I kind of explained what was going on, and the doctor, gave me what's called a laryngoscopy, or laryngoscopy. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. But he gave me that, and so what it is it's a little camera on a little scope, and it goes all the way up your nose and down your throat. And it views your vocal cords so you can see what's going on down there, see if there's inflammation, if there's damage, if there's a polyp or a nodule. And so he gave me that. However, normally you give, numbing cream, numbing spray, lubricant. I got none of that. So it was completely dry going down my throat. First time I've ever had one of those. It was horrendous, awful. Preceding that, the doctor found that I had a nodule on the left side of my throat. He had told me basically that I was never gonna sing again, and that there's really nothing that they could do for me. Kind of sent me home. So at that point, I was feeling pretty defeated. To that point, like, my whole life was music. I had sung, the band was doing pretty well. That was all I'd ever done, and all I was working towards. And so to get that news was horrible. It's like you get this news of the one thing in life that you love doing, and it's your whole life, and it could be taken away from you. And so I wasn't gonna give up there. Like, we sat down and researched other singers. Like, I had heard that Adele had gone through something like this, Daniel Worsnop from Asking Alexandria. There was so many people that have gone through stuff like this and recovered from it. And so to me, that was a sign of hope and a sign like, okay, well, we can figure this out. So after doing research, we had found a place in Iowa that specialty treats vocalists for nodules or different issues like that. So we ended up making an appointment. We went to that appointment, met one of the first people that helped me save my voice and save my career. I wouldn't be here today singing or doing anything if it wasn't for her and a few other people that I'll mention later in the video. Her name was Joy. She was amazing, like one of the nicest ladies I've ever met. We went to the appointment, and I kind of talked to her about what was happening, what was going on. She gave me a laryngoscopy. However, this time was amazing about it. Gave me the numbing spray, so my throat was completely numb. It was completely painless. Actually, there was a screen over on the side of me so we could see what the camera was seeing. So she put the camera down, she had me make some weird noises and stuff, and we found that there was a pretty large abscess on the side of my vocal cord, on the left side. You can actually see that right here. And what that is called is a vocal polyp. Originally, the other doctor thought it was a nodule. A polyp is what this is, right here. Your vocal cords, when you sing, they're like these two folds, and they flap together like this. You have to get that full closure when you're singing. That's what creates that tone, the ability to get notes out. And so I had this polyp on the left side of my throat, and as you can see, it's pretty big. It's a pretty big little ball there. And that was causing my vocal cords to sort of half hit. And so they weren't fully making contact with each other. However, the polyp was making contact with the other side of my vocal cord, or my other vocal cord, my right one, and so it was hitting that and also damaging that in the process. So it basically allows you to not sing at your best, and it causes all sorts of issues. So we caught this polyp late in the game, and as you can see, it was already really big. So we knew it was going to be serious. We kind of talked about how we were going to figure this out, what we could do, what our options were. And we started with vocal rest. So we started with 2 weeks of no singing and minimal talking. After that, I had gone back, and we kind of realized that it wasn't really working. So I had tried it one more time Again, another 2 weeks. This time even less talking, no singing at all. And it still wasn't going down. It was still just as large as it was before. After that, we did 2 more weeks of complete vocal rest. So for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically you can't talk, you can't sing, you can't hum, you can't cough, you can't, clear your throat. You can't do any of that. So we did like 2 weeks of that. And this was during my freshman year of high school, which made it extra rough because I had to walk around with a whiteboard and a marker to be able to tell people what I needed to tell them. Or I also had to use like a text-to-speech app. So it would I'd write it out on my phone and it would talk it out to somebody. Pretty rough. Not the way you want to go into your freshman year of high school. It really sucked. So I went through that. I went back and we realized that that also wasn't working. The polyp was still just as big, and that was pretty scary to learn. And we kind of had to talk about it and realize that the only other option left was surgery. The problem though, at the time was I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 massive shows on the horizon. So we had to work through all of that, and luckily Joy was amazing, super helpful in helping me navigate that so we could still do the shows, keeping me healthy, or at least as healthy as I could be without causing further damage until we could get to a point where I would have time to do the surgery. So I was able to get through those shows. The last one we had done was a festival here in Iowa called 8035. Directly after that, like the week after, I did more vocal rest, and then I went straight into surgery. The second person I want to thank as well that was pivotal in helping me get my career back, get my voice back. We will call him Dr. W for the video. He was the doctor that actually did my surgery. He was amazing, super professional, took great care of me. Going into that surgery, it was pretty nerve-wracking, and he really helped to ease those tensions. However, there was some complications. Going in, we knew that coming out of this, I may never be able to talk again. I may never be able to sing again. I may never be able to sing the same again. There was a lot of things that could go wrong, which made, surgery, which is why you never want to get surgery. It's like the last resort because there are so many things that can go wrong. And so going into the surgery, everything went really well. I came out of it. Immediately, I went on 48 hours of complete vocal rest. And that was probably the most nerve-wracking time because those were the hours or the days that counted. In those 48 hours, if I were to make any sort of noises, it could jeopardize the healing process and cause me to lose my voice entirely. That's how serious this procedure is. So I got through that, it was all good, and then I could slowly start talking little tiny bits in the weeks after, until finally I was able to start getting up to singing. And we started at 5 minutes a day. Very, easy stuff. So like scales and, little just passages of songs, but nothing crazy like, I do now with like all the screaming and all of that. So during this time, I had to go through a lot of vocal therapy and, learning the correct way to sing again, the correct way to even talk again. When you go through this, you have to learn how to talk correctly. But I had to learn how to do all that correctly. And in that time, we were looking for a vocal coach. Everybody that was recommended to me by my specialist and a bunch of other people, I had reached out to and told them what was going on. Everybody turned me down. Nobody wanted to work with me for a multitude of reasons. Number one, the music I sang. I sang heavy rock music, screaming, very strenuous type of vocals. And then I had just had surgery for a polyp, which is one of the worst things you can get as a singer. Understandably, everybody was pretty apprehensive about working with me and didn't want to do it. That was another blow that was like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be able to get back to this? So my middle school choir teacher actually shared a post on Facebook about a vocal coach in our area that was looking for students. As a kind of last resort effort, we reached out and we let in with that I sung in a church band, because at the time I was doing some stuff for a church band. And so we let in with that and kind of said that I had been having some problems with my vocals and with my vocal cords and blah, blah, blah. So it was not to scare her away. And when she told us she had openings and she'd love to meet us, that's when we dropped all the stuff on her and let her know everything that was going on, what I sang. And like the others, she was pretty apprehensive, however, did take me on and was gracious enough to try to help me, which I'm forever thankful for because she is one of the main reasons that I am here today, still being able to sing. Her name was Miss Lindsay, amazing vocal coach. She worked with me for a long time to help me get my voice back. However, let's scoot back a little bit. During this time, I got my vocal coach. I was only able to sing for, at this point, 15 minutes every single day. The problem arose that we had a very big show the weekend of this week that I could only do 15 minutes a day. Luckily, our set, it was a battle of the bands for the Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and luckily the set was only 15 minutes long. So we went to that show, got through it. What was crazy is I could only do 15 minutes, so the performance was the only time I could sing. So mind you, I couldn't do any vocal warm-ups. I couldn't make sure I could even hit the notes. I didn't even know if I could hit the notes. Our songs are pretty high, and I've got a decently high vocal range, and I didn't even know if I could do any of that. So I got up there completely, basically blind to if I was going to be able to pull it off or not. It could be a complete train wreck. It could go sort of well, it could go very well. I had no clue. We ended up going on stage. The performance actually ended up going over really well. I didn't feel the best about it, literally coming off vocal surgery weeks before, and still not being in a good place vocally. However, we actually ended up winning the competition. I've got the award right back here, and that was pretty funny considering the circumstances. But immediately after that, I got back into training and getting my voice up to where it needed to be. So in the years after my surgery, I've slowly regained my ability to sing, my range, my stamina, and to the point where I am today, where I'm pretty recovered. There's still some stuff that I've got to deal with from lasting effects from that, which I'll go over here in just a second. For the most part, I've been able to get everything back, so that was good. So let's talk about the lasting effects on my voice, because going through a surgery like this, there are some things that do happen and that went wrong. Luckily, I was very lucky in a sense that I've got my voice back, I can still talk, I can still scream. I was able to basically regain everything that I had before. However, right after the surgery, I actually lost my ability to sing falsetto. For those of you that don't know what falsetto is, it's like that high, that kind of sound. I lost the ability to do that for like 6 to 8 months. I couldn't even find how to do it. Like, it was a long, arduous process with my vocal coach to get to that point where I could start to do falsetto. And luckily, I've been able to regain that with lots of work, but that was pretty scary because I completely lost the ability to do that. With the surgery, I lost, and with the polyp, I lost a huge amount of range. I was able to hit, I don't even remember what it was, but I was pretty high in my range before the polyp. Pre-surgery, I could sing very high, and after the surgery, that greatly diminished, and I was, not able to sing super high anymore, like to the point where it was very concerning. Luckily, I was able to slowly start to regain that, and 4 years later, I'm still not back to where I was. I still can't sing, those high notes that I was hitting before the surgery. And so, that just shows you that taking care of your voice is so, so important. Otherwise you're going to end up like I did, having vocal surgery, having a polyp, and having lasting effects. Like I said, I still can't get to those notes that I could reach, and I'm still, it's still a process of every day I'm still working on that and increasing my range. I also lost lots of stamina. Stamina is a big thing when singing, because when you're singing for an hour, 2, 3 hours at a time, you have to be able to constantly, sing and sing high, and we sang lots of 80s covers at the time. And so we were constantly, Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose, Motley Crue, stuff like that, to where you're singing super high and for like the whole song. After my surgery, that went away. Like my stamina was to the point where I would literally sing like a chorus of a song that was like relatively high, at least as high as I could go at that certain point after my surgery, and I literally, like, my voice would be done. And slowly I've had to regain that stamina, but that's something for me that's never fully came back. Like, I've worked on it and worked on it and worked on it over 4 years, and I've gotten a good amount of stamina back to where I feel good. I'm in a good place vocally, but that stamina's never came back like it was before. So another thing that's really important is pacing myself during performances, because I can't sing, high and loud and aggressive all the time. I have to kind of have those dips where I have those moments where I can really reach for it, and those moments where I just kind of lean back and let it kind of take a back seat a little bit, and so that's one thing that I've had to learn, and kind of, that I didn't have to do before surgery. So there have been some lasting effects, some of which I've been able to regain, some of which I have not. However, I would consider myself very lucky in the sense that I can still sing, I can still do my music. So if I could give some advice for other singers out there, it would definitely be, you take care of your voice. Get vocal lessons and get singing lessons. Learn from somebody in person. Don't just look at a YouTube video and think, oh yeah, I'm gonna try that, because everybody's voice is different, and you know, learning to sing the correct way, you need guidance. You need somebody there that can tell you when you're doing it wrong, because even now, as a vocal teacher myself, like I still find that I'm doing things wrong at times, and you know, I've got to like stop and go back and be like, okay, no, I have to do it this way. Learn it the right way. Learn from somebody who knows what they're doing. That would be my biggest piece of advice. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, direct message me. You can find all my social links down in the description. So, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.